All Blacks and Ireland, folks, we can breathe. Irish fans, you might need a drink. I need a drink after that one. Goodness me, 28-24. What an insane game. Probably deserved more than just being a quarterfinal. It felt like more than a quarterfinal. It was nuts. I had my folks here who watched the game together. None of us felt, I don't know, the tension. I'm lost for words, folks. Man, it was just nuts. Ireland could have won that game. All Blacks defence manages to hold it to death. I'll attempt to go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on that one. But, I mean, overall, I thought New Zealand's defence, for the most part, apart from a couple of slip-ups, was able to make that Irish attack, I wouldn't say struggle, but they weren't able to cut us to bits like they have done with other teams. And, the scrum penalties, up and under kicks seemed to work pretty well. Irish lineout was still a little bit kind of touchy at times. I mean, the All Blacks did concede some tries and they got some bloody cards as well, but anyway, atmosphere at the ground was phenomenal. Clearly a ton of Irish fans there. There was more Kiwis there than I expected, but the atmosphere was loud. Ireland conceded a penalty at the breakdown early. New Zealand's touch kick was weird. Pretty much skewed almost straight sideways. They looked nervous. The All Blacks looked, from their first kind of couple of kicks, looked a little bit rattled. I was rattled. But then first scrum early on, and there's only one scrum in the entire first half. Scrum penalty goes to New Zealand. We end up going 30 phases, which I was thinking would be the most that we would see in this game, but it wasn't. The end of the game would see more than that. But 30 phases before Beirne concedes a penalty. At least the advantage. The All Blacks try a cross kick. It's too big. Go back for the penalty. So 3 points to 0 to the All Blacks. Decent start with that away crowd getting behind the Irish. I figured that's probably what the All Blacks needed. You don't want to go behind and let the crowd really get more vocal. First New Zealand penalty conceded on about 9 minutes. Ireland opted for touch. It was probably kickable, but they opted for touch. Weirdly, New Zealand... they did contest that one. They contested that one. There was a few that they didn't contest later on, but they couldn't. They almost stole it, but couldn't steal that one. And Ireland ended up passing it into touch. So a little bit rusty as well. Like neither side was looking that sharp from the initial kind of stanza. Sometimes teams take a little while to warm into the games. Artie wins a penalty at the breakdown. How many of those did he get? It was a fair few. Artie, one of the main difference makers in this game, I think. The breakdown around halfway. Geordie Barrett with a cracking long shot. We've seen him do it before from 50-odd metres, 55. 6-0 to the All Blacks. Good to keep that going. And the All Blacks in that first 15 minutes had their breakdown game just pinpoint accurate. Retallick won one, which I thought might have been a little bit dodgy on their own goal line. And then Sam Cane got one a few minutes later. So a couple of turnovers won for the All Blacks. And able to kind of shut down what the Irish were throwing at them. And then Bodie Barrett, what a try. Oh my goodness. 19 minutes, he just pushed through the up and under. And honestly, they got a lot of good pay with those kicks into the Irish backfield today. Some of them just beyond the Irish kind of defensive line, but too shallow for the backfield players to come up and grab it. That's what happens with this one. Bodie's able to regather the ball. He gets clattered into by James Lowe, but he doesn't lose the ball. All Blacks are able to go wide. The likes of Geordie Barrett, Leicester Fainga'anuku and Rieko Ioane combine, with Leicester able to finish off the try. So 13-0. That's a great lead. But we also led the French early on in that first game of the pool stages. So nobody here at NZ was counting any chickens. And especially when New Zealand conceded a super soft penalty from the restart. Shannon Frizzell with a wee bit of obstruction, changing his line. So that 7 points that the New Zealanders just got, well, we can take 3 of them off because the Irish kick a penalty straight into return. So it's very, very soft. And then I feel like the momentum in the first half shifts. We get a heap of Irish pressure and the All Blacks kind of lose their accuracy at the breakdown. They start conceding penalties. So maybe just a little bit over-eager. There is one of the plays of the game. I mean, I was pretty chuffed for the Bundee try, but the Bundee one, honestly, he's got no right to score that. Bundee has been in the form of his life. He bamboozled Shannon Frizzell and Rieko Ioane with his kind of stutter steps. he made the New Zealand defence look shockingly average. Like, after Ireland, just earlier in the game, have gone 30 phases, for the All Blacks to be broken down like that was awful. But great from Bundee, great bit of brilliance from him. So suddenly it's 10 points Ireland, 13 points All Blacks. That lead, which was looking fairly comfortable, not comfortable, but you know what I mean. It's more than a two-try, not two-try, it's a two-score lead. And it's now it's down to a 3-point lead. So very, very tight. But New Zealand kept doing the old chips over the top, pretty effective. But Ireland, they would just win penalties at the breakdown. They were dominating that era. It's kind of a little bit reminiscent of that South Africa game. That early breakdown pressure the All Blacks had been kind of flipped on its head. But the Irish line-out comes back to haunt them. We talked about it a bit in the preview. It's a really messy line-out. That messy line-out leads to an All Blacks 50-22. The 50-22 leads to the All Blacks getting some field position, obviously, a maul. They get to the backs, they get advantage. I think Sam Cane goes close. They get advantage. They spin it out the backs. Great pass from Aaron Smith. He plays 80 to Rieko Ioane, who gives it to Ardie, who's able to finish out wide. Conversion misses, but 18 points to 10, back to a two-score game. So it kind of comes back to that messy lineup. You secure your own ball there, you're not conceding that try. But for the All Blacks to kind of score points and then have something go wrong, Aaron Smith, deliberate knock on, yellow card. My parents did not agree. I basically said, if you stick your hand out, even if it's instinctive, even if it only hits your pinky finger, if it blocks the pass and you're sticking your hand out, you don't catch it, you're asking for trouble. Barnes says it's cynical, he gets a yellow card. So like I said, people were divided. It probably depends what colour jersey you're wearing, but you stick your hand out, man, you're asking for trouble. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, yep, yellow card, Ireland up for touch. Ardie concedes a penalty at the breakdown. Maybe you could argue that one was pretty cynical as well. They go for touch again, they maul it, and then Gibson-Park is just able to snipe over. So, again, man, I feel like the All Blacks defence was exposed in that first half. I mean, I know they got a man down, and it's the halfback is off, so there's a little bit extra space. But, yeah, the All Blacks defence needed to do better there. Ireland just clinical. So 1 point game at halftime. Ireland's had the edge of possession just 51%. The territory 56%. Run meters are 247 to 235, so pretty even. Knock-ons are only 2-1. Like in the Wales-Argentina game earlier, it was like 7-6 knock-ons at halftime. 7-6. 7 Wales, 6 Argentina. This is 2-1. So this game was high quality. Not that many errors. Very few scrums. Ireland attacking at 90%. 85 tackles. The All Blacks are at 87%, which is not that much lower, but they've missed a couple at crucial times. Penalties conceded as 5-6, so the All Blacks haven't conceded the one more. Second half, Ireland start with a 50-22, so it's their turn to get a bit of field position. Line out, go to the backs, and then with the extra man, they did this move where they kicked it to Peter O'Barney, who kind of lined up Mo'unga one-on-one, but they couldn't take the ball. So it ends up being a knock-on. The knock-on leads to a scrum. So scrum's good news for the All Blacks because we're still in the yellow card for Smith. So that's eating a bit of clock. Then the last play for Ireland during that yellow card period is they do a cross kick to Sheehan, which was bloody close to working. The bounce is just too big for him. It's over his head. If that try is scored, then Ireland would have taken the lead. They never got in front in this game. But yeah, the right idea. Just it didn't quite work for them. Then on 48 minutes, New Zealand get a scrum penalty, so they're able to kind of exit. Porter was absolutely livid. I think that's the second scrum penalty he conceded. I think he conceded 3 in the game. But then the All Blacks went 13 phases, and Porter won a penalty anyway. He won a turnover. I think it was a penalty. I think he just stripped it. So he kind of got his revenge back on that one. And then Ireland countered down the left wing, bunch of phases, and it was Savia getting the All Blacks out of jail again with another breakdown penalty. 52 minutes, All Blacks line out in their own half. And then it's a bit of that Richie Mo'unga brilliance, which we've seen him do so many times for the Crusaders. We've been waiting him to do this kind of stuff with regularity for the All Blacks. He just goes straight between Van der Flier and Sheehan. That's a bit of soft paw Irish defending. They'll look back with that one and be pretty livid with themselves. He's able to draw in James Lowe, gets the ball to Will Jordan. He's got the gas to beat Sheehan to the line. Keenan tried to track across, but he was always in a bad position to try and, to come across and cut him down. So 25-17, back to that 2-score game, and then it gets worse for Ireland because Hansen goes off injured. Aaron Smith gets an intercept to try and get the New Zealanders out of jail. Because after that try, essentially the All Blacks are camped down their own end for ages. Bloody ages. Eventually the All Blacks conceded a penalty and Ireland opted for 3, but that one, Johnny Sexton pushed wide, which was a pretty straightforward kick for him. So he'll be disappointed that he missed that one. More Irish pressure, 15 phases, New Zealand penalty conceded not rolling. And then, big call from Wayne Barnes, but you can't do it once again. Cody Taylor, as the Irish set that maul, the maul is trucking forward. It's going to score or be held up, but it's going to make it to the line either way. Cody Taylor comes in from the side, collapses the thing, and it's a penalty try. So not only do Ireland not have to make the conversion, but now we've got 14 men again. So shaking our heads here, but great pressure from Ireland. They were putting New Zealand under the pump for a long time. So it's back to that bloody 1-point scoreline, 25-24. Scrum for New Zealand when they got the new props on. They win another penalty there, which is great during the yellow card because that eats a bit of clock. Jordie Barrett with a long shot, but it goes wide. And then another penalty conceded by Ireland during the yellow card. This one was for Conor Murray pulling Jordie Barrett as he was chasing a kick from his brother. This one the All Blacks do slot. So that's a dumb penalty to be conceding, especially when you saw how strict Wayne Barnes was on that kind of, interfering with guys on the kick chase earlier on in the game when Frizzell got pinged. So back to a 4-point game, 28-24. That's the final score. But the game was by no means done, man. Because remember, the All Blacks have still got a man in the bin. Ireland win a penalty at the breakdown after Bundee kind of kept the ball in play, which was maybe better off just leaving it to go into touch. They get the 5-metre line out and they get held up. And Jordie Barrett, that stop there probably saved New Zealand from losing the game. Because I feel like if Ireland go in front, they probably hang on for the rest of the game. Their defence was so hard to break down that I couldn't, I don't know. But Jordie Barrett gets his body under Kelleher, so held up. And then, to make matters worse for Ireland, unforced error. Caelan Doris, who's a fantastic player, just makes that unforced error, knocks it on from the dropout, which means the All Blacks have got a bit of possession. Aaron Smith's able to box kick it. The All Blacks kick chase is good. They put Jimmy O'Brien into touch. So the All Blacks have got a couple of minutes to defend. Like they had a drop goal attempt, which they missed, but they got Ireland down their own end. They've got a 4-point lead. Ireland have to go length of the field and try and score. Can they do it? Bloody hell, they got close. They went through more than 35 phases before Wayne Barnes blew his whistle for a penalty to the All Blacks, and that was game. Unbelievable. I did not think the All Blacks had a kind of 30-plus phase defensive shift in them after some of the stuff I'd seen earlier. I was maybe a little bit lacking the faith that I thought they might concede a penalty or maybe win a turnover. Because Ardie Savary had been doing that all day. Sam Cane had been making heaps of tackles. He put a crunching one in earlier when the Irish had a line break through Keenan. Sam Cane needs a lot of credit for this one, but the All Blacks, they managed to hold on. So brutal for Ireland. It's another quarterfinal exit. Like I said, the way the draw is made, it sucks that this game was a quarterfinal because it felt like a lot more. But yeah, All Blacks will play Argentina in an All Rugby Championship semi-final. Run meters, 595 to 487. That's to Ireland. All Blacks, 32 kicks from hand to Ireland's 19. I honestly think the kicking game was pretty well thought out. It seemed to work the majority of the time. They were tapping a lot of ball back from those kicks and sometimes finding that space between, as I said, the defensive line and the backfield. Ireland, 54% possession, 58% territory. They had more clean breaks, 7-5, more defenders beaten, 31-22. The All Blacks had to make 199 tackles to 159, so the All Blacks had to do some defending. The turnovers conceded was 11 by Ireland and 4 by the All Blacks. So maybe just a little bit more kind of clinical in that area. The Irish line-out stats are 14 from 15, but some of them were just a bit messy. Penalties conceded as 10 apiece. Obviously, the All Blacks had the 2 cards. Yeah, I need a drink. Individuals, Savia, man. He was unbelievable. 4 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, 46 metres, 1 turnovers. Mo'unga, a clean break, 2 defenders beaten, 85 metres. Caelan, 21 out of 23 tackles. Captain's knocked from him. Porter conceded 3 penalties, which at scrum time they'll be disappointed with that. Hansen had 6 defenders beaten before he went off. His going off was certainly not helpful because he's a classy player. Flier makes 17 out of 20, but he'll be disappointed with how Mo'unga was able to break that gap. But yeah, Ian Foster's boys go through, and Ireland's winning streak is done. But yeah, great game. It's going to be hard to match that one. My dad said it as we were sitting there watching it. The only game that kind of reminded of at this World Cup thus far was the South African-Ireland game, which was also just such an intense, cracking game. So yeah, commiserations, Ireland. Genuinely sorry to see you guys go out, but obviously I'm thrilled for the All Blacks. So yeah, you guys take care of yourselves. Let us know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Ta-da.